About one of my favorite topics, your higher self, and how your higher self is your first guide for you to connect to a guide. It's your first guide. It was my first guide. I'm going to tell you my personal story, and I'm also going to give you a step-by-step process to get in touch with your higher self. And I have a free gift of a meditation. So if you want that free gift, make sure you type in higher in the comments below, and we will be sure to send you that gift right away in your bot. And I am super excited to be talking about this topic because to me, I just was on Membership for Your Soul. That's my paid membership program. And yesterday we were doing Abundant Living with Your Guides, which is a class that I have. And we went through a higher self quick little meditation. And I'm going to tell you what your higher self is so you have a really clear picture. And I'm going to tell you how to get in touch with him or her. And when we did it yesterday, it was really kind of cool for me personally, because as many of you know, I'm going through a huge life transformation right now. And what people think is when you make a really big decision about your life, that once you arrive at that decision and you get there, there's happy ending. And it's really not. It's you like what happens when you make a really big decision is your soul expands. And then your whole life has to fit this expansion. So you get to this arrival place, you've made the decision, you know it's the right thing for you, and all of a sudden you get gobsmacked over and over again with challenging things. How many of you understand what I'm talking about? Hit the likes and the loves if you understand that. And many of you think, oh no, I made the wrong decision. I'm not on the right path. I've screwed up. How could I friggin' have done this? I did it to myself again. When in actuality, what's happening is you are growing to meet the change, to meet this incredible new experience. And as uncomfortable as it may feel, believe me, if it was comfortable, everybody would be doing it. As uncomfortable as it makes you feel, when you have your higher self walking with you on the path and telling you what you're doing and helping you and guiding you, it makes it a little bit easier. So how many of you understand what I'm talking about? And I'm going to tell you stories, and I want to just check in and see how everybody's doing and who's here with us. And remember, if you're just joining, type in higher in the comments below, and you're going to get the hi, Bente. Hi, Kathy. You're going to get the meditation that I have for you. And we're going to go through what your higher self is, why it's so important to work with your higher self, why it's so much easier to work with your higher self first before your other guides, and how your higher self can help you in your life. And I've got exercise. I'm going to give you 6 points where you're going to get to talk to your higher self. So I want to tell you my story about when I first met my higher self, and then I want to share a little bit of what's been going on with me now. And if you're in my membership program, make sure you hit hashtag members, because I see my members on here, Bente and Jennifer and Carol Lee. I see a bunch of members on here. So Jackie, oh, Jackie, how's your husband, honey? Sending you a lot of love. So I want to make sure you do hashtag Soulstar, because that's what membership peeps are called. So why is this such an important topic? Well, your higher self, what is a higher self? Your higher self, for me, is a part of me that is already living the life that I'm dreaming of, is already living the experience that I'm desiring and wanting. When I was sharing with Membership for Your Soul yesterday through the Abundant class that we were doing, and I shared with them how I've created this entire change in my life where I'm living in a place where I don't have to sit in traffic to get to a beautiful trail. There's trails all over the place. And it's I'm in nature and I'm staring at trees. And I know I keep showing many of you this picture outside my window. And I said it all started with a want. There was something in me that wanted something else, that I couldn't stand living in a city anymore like LA, and I couldn't stand the degrees of 104 for weeks on end. And I was so miserable and so unhappy. And it's so hard sometimes to create something new from that place of lack, scarcity, and fear. How many of you understand that? Hit the likes and the loves. And when you're in the scarcity or the fear or the problem, you can't get inspiration. You can't get the next thing to do or where you're supposed to be, because all you're doing is like, oh my goodness, I'm in this problem at this wall. How do I get out of it? How do I get out of it? And it becomes this habit of just going like nowhere. You just are just constantly walking into the wall. When you work with your higher self and you're able to work with your higher self and have them help you see a vision in the future, they bridge the gap from where you want to be to where you are. And it allows you to communicate with this deeper knowing part of yourself. And it brings you to that place. Now, here's a good question. First of all, I'd like to know how many of you are in touch with your higher self. So give me the likes and the loves, or tell me in the comments below of how many of you are in touch with your higher self. A higher self can show up. For me, when I first started doing this work many years ago, which was around 26, I first met my higher self. And when I first started doing this work, I didn't know that the higher self could be anything but me at an older age. It felt like an older age, whether my higher self that showed up to me is me today, right? But she was younger. She was like in her 40s, and she was wearing flowing dresses and rings, and she had flowing hair. And not that I have flowing hair, my hair's shorter, but she was the picture of peace. She was living in her spirituality. She was a psychic in her experience. And I was working for NBC Olympics at this point, running a department when I met her. And I was like, oh my goodness, I so want to be her. How can I be her? I've always wanted to be that picture of peace. And lo and behold, here I am. Now, am I a picture of peace all the time? No. But I'm definitely living from my inside. I'm living from that connected to source place, connected to God, connected to nature. And she was that. She showed that to me over 20 some odd years ago. And she showed me what was possible. But at that point in my life, I was working for NBC Olympics. I was crying every single day, I had this incredible job. They were so good to me, NBC. But it was the last place I wanted to be. I had a little bit of a nervous breakdown. I was in an incredible amount of therapy, an incredible amount of pain. I knew I was working at a job I friggin' did not want to do any longer. I was so lost. And I'll never forget this one day, I had a breakdown. I had a memory of something that came from way back when. And I hit the floor crying, and I couldn't function. I didn't even know what to wear. And I was just walking around like a zombie. And I went into work, and then I looked down at my clothing, and I was like, I couldn't believe what I was wearing. Nothing matched. I think I even had different shoes on. And I was so out of it that I didn't even realize it. And here I am in an office, I was the senior profiles manager. I was in charge of the profiles on the budget and logistical side. And I had this at a very early age. And I was like, what am I doing? And I would have never known how to get from there to here, or even here working in an office for myself, had I not met her. And your higher self can bridge that gap, even if you personally don't know how to do it. So I want to check in with all of you before I move on and see how many of you are resonating with the story, understanding what I'm saying. And also maybe you have personal experiences, or maybe but I would love to hear it. And if you feel that this video and what I'm talking about and this topic resonates with you, I want you to share it with your friends, because I'm all about sharing my wisdom with others. So, and remember, if you put in higher, you're going to get a higher self meditation. Christy says, I wish you're in touch with my higher self. So I'm going to give you 6 ways to be in touch with your higher self today. So hang on, Christy, we're going to get there. Bernie says she's not yet. Sue says I am. And can never see that enough, your outside view. Yeah. I got my little soul stars here for my paid membership program. Yes, great, Christy. Christy says, oh my God, OMG, you were successful monetarily, but not happy. Not at all. I was miserable. I was closing the door every day crying. I felt so lost and confused. And I found myself actually at NBC. I found what I wanted to do, and I started doing it. And I went through a lot of work with it, and I followed my higher self as she told me where to go, what to do, who to talk to, what to see. And I was pursuing acting at that time. And within 4 months after I left NBC Olympics, and NBC wanted to keep me, they just got all the contracts and they were like, we got to hide you and then we want to keep you and we want you to work for all the Olympics. And they were so beautiful, such wonderful people to me. But I was like, I can't, I got to pursue my dream. And 4 months after I left NBC, I got the lead in an off-Broadway play, Tony and Tina's Wedding, which made me equity and SAG. And I was working and making a living as an actress. So that's what your higher self can do for you. But you have to know how to communicate with your higher self. So one of the things I wanted to share with you besides that story, and I'm going to share the 6 tips, is your higher self could be another age. So as I was teaching this work to all these different people, I would do one-on-one sessions where I was teaching people how to get in touch with their higher self. And I was teaching them, and some of them would show up, their higher self would show up as men. And I have learned in this, what I do for a living, to never shut the doors to anything, to never hit anybody with a formula. That's why I feel like I'm such an incredible coach and such an incredible teacher, because I meet people on their path. I don't say, oh, no, this is the only way to do it. And I know I'm gifted in that area. So I started, and I was like, great, go for it. And they would have these success with these higher selves that were showing up as different than their own sex or who they were. And then I met my higher self at one time, and she was 13, the 13-year-old me. She was a portion of that. And she held the spiritual component. She held the knowing that God was connected. And it was fascinating for myself because my higher self was always older than me to meet a higher self that was younger than me. But she was great. She was able to guide me through a certain type of transforming healing that I needed at that time in my life. So this is really, really good. So I'm going to teach you 6 ways to talk, but I just want to see where you're struggling. And if you're just joining me, remember to write higher. Definitely give me the likes and the loves because I love those, and share this video if you feel that this is beneficial for somebody you love. So recently, as you know, many of you know, I moved, right? So I was explaining this before to you. I was struggling so much. I was so unhappy in LA, even though I had a great life. I was in yoga certifications. I was playing tennis. I had tons of friends because Spirit said to me, you're not allowed to move in a miserable state. You're just not allowed to do that. And I had a desire for something better. I've had this desire to live in a location like this all my life, pretty much. But being a city girl, I'm born and raised in Brooklyn. I lived in Manhattan, lived in LA. I've never lived, only for 2 months once, I lived in a remote town that had one stoplight, and I almost went nuts when I was in college, but it was fun. So I've never lived in a place like this, but I knew my heart, my soul was desiring something else. So what did I do? I got in touch with the me who was already here, my higher self. And I started working with her to get here. And at that time, I didn't even know where I wanted to live. I was searching all of the United States because I knew I wanted to be in the United States. Small towns, best small towns to live in, near consciousness, organic food, all these kinds of things. And I still had no clue where I was going to go. And Spirit didn't tell me where I was going to go. They frustrated me. All they wanted me to do was to get in touch with the feeling of what it was going to be like living in that location. So that's what my higher self did for me. I would write every day, a day in the life, which my members who are on here know what a day in the life is because that's part of the higher self lesson and membership for your soul. I would write a day in the life every day and my journal, and I would get in touch with my experience here, even though it felt so foreign or so far away. And by doing that, remember I talked about earlier in the video how you could just stay stuck on a problem and you can't get inspiration? But by writing about where I wanted to go, what I wanted to feel, what I wanted to experience, even if I couldn't visualize it very well because I was struggling with the visualization of it, which is not usually a struggle of mine, I was able to write it and put my feeling into it. What it did is it started opening a space inside of me. And what that space did, it allowed things in. And all of a sudden I started hearing things. Oh, check out Marin. You're going to really like Marin. Check out Fairfax. Fairfax has what you need. Go there and see if you like it. And different things started seeping in. And it all fell into place. Now, as I sit here in this big, big change in my life and I get some struggles, I got to tell you, the other night, Membership for Your Soul really came to my aid. I had an experience that was harrowing for me. I lost my dog for 2 hours. I can't even it was so scary for me. One of the most scary experiences. And of course, guidance is telling me it's going to be okay, he's going to come back. But I was just in pure panic that he ran away in the woods and doesn't know we're new here. And I went on Membership for Your Soul because that's what I was guided to do, and wrote what I was going through because I needed support. And that's my higher self telling me what to do, because I couldn't do it for myself physically at that point. I was too much in panic. And all those beautiful people started sending me prayers and visions and seeing where Micah was. And lo and behold, I got Micah back. So get in touch with your higher self and get in touch with a like-minded community that helps you to engage with your higher self. Okay, I'm going to look at your questions really quick, but who's ready for the 6 tips? The 6 tips of how you could get in touch with your higher self. And if you're ready, hit the likes and the loves. Christy says, so you daydreamed kind of. Yeah, I wrote it out because I couldn't visualize it. I didn't know where I was going. So I didn't know what it looked like. I knew I wanted nature. I knew I wanted trees. So I started writing it out. And then as Catherine, who is a soul star, then I created a vision book, which I teach, a vision board. Catherine is one of our moderators in Membership for Your Soul. She's doing phenomenal work with people. Check her out because she is doing incredible visual journeys with people. You can follow her on Instagram or find her on Facebook. She's phenomenal. People love her in membership. I love her. So I started doing a vision book, and I can't share my screen, but I shared it with membership, and I showed them my vision book and what actually happened, and they were blown away by it, which was really good. A vision book is different than a vision board, but you can do either one. And Catherine, Christy's asking about it. Why don't you reply to her and tell her what you know about vision boards, because you are very well versed in this stuff, sweetie. So, all right, let me see. I'm just going to grab another question, and then I'm going to give you the 6 tips. And remember, if you're just joining, make sure you type in higher, and you will get a higher self meditation. So type in higher, and you'll get a higher self meditation. Okay. So Sue says, now I was feeling the same way about not taking that step forward. I cried to my higher self once I felt the connection, and I still want to see movement, but then I keep getting divine timing. It'll be nice to see the steps moving forward. So Sue, what your higher self can do for you in this moment is give you the step forward. So that's where the souls list, which you know I teach, is really, really good. But also what your higher self may just ask one step a day, right? What can I do today? So my higher self may say to me, go online and look at houses in North Carolina, or go online and Google the top 10 towns in the United States, the happiest towns. Go look at real estate in this particular area. Things that really, really helped bring me closer to my dream, but yet I didn't understand them in the moment. And you have to understand that the way they're talking to us, you're right, Christy, it's just conversation. But when you can see her or him and visualize them and see them doing the stuff that they're doing, and you write it out and you get the feeling, then you have to act on the inspiration that jumps in, even if it doesn't make sense. That inspiration may be go to the coffee shop and order that coffee, because you may find someone, or you may see a book at that coffee shop that talks about small towns in America, right? I'm using the move thing. So that's how you get in touch, and they give you the steps forward. People are expecting the steps to be like huge momentum right away, like go, and you're going to make that $1 million tomorrow. It doesn't work that way. It's piece by piece by piece, because we're evolving in our life. Okay, Denise. Every single day, one just said enough, made less than a half, but much happier. Yeah, good for you. Okay, so let's get into the 6 tips of your higher self. So remember, if you're just joining, higher self, we're talking about getting in touch with the higher self, the part of you that is already living the life that you want to be living, the part of you that already has the experience, the part of you that knows what your soul desires, the part of you that is wise beyond anything out there. All right. So the first thing I want you to do on this journey is to breathe and set the attention that you will meet your higher self. That's all I want you to do right now. is I want you to breathe and set the intention that you are going to meet your higher self. And stand in the power of what you know, even if you feel you don't know it. So when you breathe and set the intention, I'm going to be with my higher self. I know that my higher self knows where I'm meant to be. My higher self understands my wants and needs. That's where it all was born out of for me. My higher self knows my wants and needs. And I'm just going to breathe with my higher self. So just take those breaths and feel it. What does it feel like to breathe with your higher self? Where do you feel it in your body? I'm breathing with my higher self right now, and I feel it all in my second and third chakra, which makes sense. It's creativity, it's intuition, creating a life based on my intuition, not on my head. So now the second tip is close your eyes and visualize an outcome you want to receive. And if you can't visualize the outcome, then say it out loud. Because remember I said writing it helped me because I couldn't see it at first, and visuals are very easy for me. So close your eyes, visualize an outcome you want to receive, and if you can't see it, start talking about your wants. So as a suggestion, so say I wanted a summer house, and I couldn't see where the summer house was. Well, I would talk about, well, I want a summer house where I'm near water, it's very peaceful, it's not overcrowded, my feet can walk in the sand, I feel really blessed, I feel really safe. You know, so if you could talk it out loud, if you can't see it, I want to feel the experience of fresh air. You know, I want to feel the experience of quiet, not having to do anything, not having to rush anywhere. It's a house where I don't have to work. I don't work when I go to this house, or I only write, whatever it may be. So close your eyes, visualize the outcome of what you want to see, and say it out loud if you can't visualize it. Number 3 is just notice how it feels. Feeling is your first connection to all your guides. People are always like, I want to hear them. I want to see them. You want to feel them. What does it feel like in your body? Maybe your body's tingling. Maybe your heart is opening. Maybe you're feeling butterflies in your stomach. Maybe you're feeling tingling on your crown chakra. Maybe you're feeling fear. You don't want to negate any of those feelings. Notice how you feel. That's tip number 3. Now, tip number 4, and we're not going to do all of this. I want you to come back to this video and watch it and do it on your own time. See yourself in that vision of the future. So if it was me, right, and I'm just really the vision that I'm seeing right now is my toes in the sand of this summer house. I don't know if it's a lake, if it's a beach, doesn't matter to me. I see my toes sinking in the sand, and I see the sun going down. And then you would ask the higher self to step out of that vision, step aside. So you literally see yourself in the future, step aside and face you today. So I can see me in that vision turning around and facing me. And then ask them telepathically or out loud if where you are today, the way you feel, the way you're experiencing your life, the way you're making choices, is it bringing you closer to that experience? So you're asking your higher self in the vision, and whether you can see that person or not does not matter. You already have a feeling. Remember, number 3 was notice how it feels. Number 4 is ask them to turn around and see you and step aside. And number 5 now is asking them telepathically if where you are today, the choices you're making, the way you're living your life is bringing you closer to where you want to be. And maybe you have something that you're dealing with, like an email you have to send or a job that you have to look for. See if that choice resonates with where you want to go. And then, number 6, open your eyes and write down the wisdom you received, because here's the biggest thing. You'll think you'll remember everything that just happened, but you won't, because something bigger than you just took place, something more magical. When I channel, I record it. And I have to record it because I will not remember what they say to me. And I speak it out loud into a recorder. Journaling about it is going to help you to remember it. And you know what else it does? It tells the universe you're serious. You're not just flitting along. You're being serious about this experience. You want to create this experience. And you are going to write it down and give it momentum. Give it attention. Give it focus. Okay, so I want to hear about your experience, but I'm going to type out, but I would definitely suggest coming back to this and doing it. First one is to breathe. Breathe and stand in the power that you know your higher self. So you're breathing and standing in the power that you know your higher self, whether you think you know them or not. That's number one. Number two is close your eyes and visualize an outcome. Close your eyes and visualize an outcome. That's number two. And if you can't visualize it, remember, speak it out loud. I don't yet know what that experience is for me. Some people that maybe have been looking for a love relationship for a long time, they don't know what love feels like, right? So you want to close your eyes. You want to talk about maybe what you want to experience. Then, you know what you would do? Go have a visceral experience. Go watch a romantic movie that makes you feel love. Go do something that makes you feel engaged with love. I hugged the redwood trees yesterday because I had such a difficult night the night before. And the next morning, that's what I did. So that makes me feel love. It makes me feel connected. Okay, then number three is notice how it makes you feel to see this vision or speak it out loud. Notice how it makes you feel. Let me type this in. Notice how it makes you feel to see this vision. Because feeling is your biggest component in getting in touch with your guides. It's the biggest one. And then number four is you're going to just see you in that vision and ask them to turn around and face you. So number four is simple, asking your higher self to turn towards you. Thank goodness I took typing in high school. Ask your higher self to turn towards you. And then number five is ask them if where you are today is getting you closer to this dream. Ask them if where you are today is getting you closer to your dream. And number six is write it down. There you go. Number six is write it down. Okay? So those are the tools. And if you want my higher self meditation, definitely put higher in the comments below. If you really like this video, definitely share it and hit the likes and the loves. And then that would be great. So let me hear from any of you. You just saw my cat's black tail like a shark. That cat, oh, he's been driving me nuts at night. Tell me if there's any way I can support you and help you with this particular whatever happened for you. And if you really are stuck or understand, like if you're stuck with a higher self or if you really understand it. So your higher self holds the wisdom that you have inside of you. So it's almost like you can put them outside of you and they've got the answers. Now, they may not have the answers 20 years from now, but they may just have the answers a month from now because your soul has to evolve into this new experience, into what you're wanting to create. So they'll have the answers for tomorrow even. So say my vision is, which it's really not a big goal right now, but say I wanted a second home and a beach house. Well, my higher self would probably say to me, go check out beach areas that you were thinking of living, like Portland or Washington, or that's the shark's tail, or northern, even further up the coast. That would be all I have to do. And I got to tell you, by that simple task, you feel so happy, so enlightened, so excited, so you get passionate, and you make space and room for more things to come into your path, more synchronicity. So when I was deciding about moving, right, and I finally decided on Marin County, I texted a friend of mine and I said, all right, I'm looking for nature, but I'm looking for like a small town feel, but it's got to have consciousness and organic food and a really good culture to it, because I didn't want to be in a Brooklyn girl does not want to be in a back-ass small town. It's not going to work after what I do for a living too. And he said, go to Fairfax, check out Fairfax. So I checked out the Fairfax town. I was like, it's kind of cool. And I emailed someone else who I knew just moved to this area. And I emailed her and she didn't get back to me. And I was looking at houses, walking my dog is in Fairfax. And she finally texts me back. It's like 3 days later. And she goes, check out Fairfax. And I was like, oh my goodness, I was just looking at houses in Fairfax. Fairfax feels good. So it's like things like that. If I was only stuck on the problem, I don't know where to live, Spirit's not telling me where to live, then I would have missed that synchronicity. Because synchronicity, we talked all about this in Membership for Your Soul yesterday. Synchronicity is being conscious creation, being conscious to the moment. Okay, so let me see what people wrote. Jackie, a soul star. I'm visioning the boathouse being built. I'm seeing chairs and table on the deck. I'm seeing the kids and grandkids. Oh, this feels so good. I see it too. Sitting on the boat deck, jumping off the dock and shade over the dock. I'm seeing the boat driving into the boathouse. Love that, Jackie. Love that. So you have Abundant Living with Your Guides. Create a vision book with that picture in it. Definitely create that. Okay, let's see what Christy wrote. What if you don't know exactly what your dream is? That's a great question, Christy. So let me ask you this, Christy. Do you know what you like? When you don't know exactly what your dream is, you definitely want to do the 2 things that I teach, which is your soul's list. So many people hesitate doing their soul's list. And you want to do the 1 to 10 exercise. The 1 to 10 exercise, if you do it every single night, at least for 3 weeks, and that's on my YouTube channel. You can check it out. Just type in Marilyn Aloria 1 to 10 exercise, and it explains it. You can go and review your day, and you start getting clear. Oh, this is what I like to do. When I was living really bored. I was on this treadmill of life. I had no passions, though I was pursuing something, but I felt dead inside. And I did the 1 to 10 exercise that my guides gave me. And all of a sudden I was like, oh my goodness, I can't believe like the simplest things make me happy. Like Catherine shared in Membership for Your Soul yesterday, and I didn't get to comment on that yet, Catherine. I saw it in my newsfeed. I'm going to be on membership after this. How she loves taking pictures of nature. How she loves taking pictures of flowers. How it brings joy to her. That's free. I went out to the redwoods yesterday because I needed to be grounded. And it didn't cost me anything. I parked on the side of the road, went into this beautiful path, and just touched these trees. These beautiful, magnificent trees. Look at the size of that tree. It doesn't cost me anything. It cost me the price of gas, but it wasn't even that far. That will show you what you want to do. How? Because it links into your joy, your happiness, and you're meant to be living your joy. You're not supposed to be miserable. Okay? Let's see who else. Jessica. I'm going to have to look that up. I'm ready for a different chapter in my life. Great, Jessica. So it's the 1 to 10 exercise on my YouTube page and the soul's list. If you go to YouTube, Marilyn Aloria, you can watch those, and I suggest you do both of them. They completely changed my life when my guides gave them to me. Completely. Yeah. So, Christy, if you feel dead inside, that's what's happening. You're not noticing what brings you joy. I felt the same way. And the things that brought me joy were talking to clerks at the grocery store. So what did I do? I pretty much went to the grocery store every single night, and they like really got to know me. They would tell me like, you're our favorite customer here. It was a real snooty kind of grocery store. And I would talk to all of them. It just made me feel good because I was working in my house in LA. And I don't feel the least bit lonely here, and I don't even know anyone. I felt so lonely in LA, and I had tons and tons of friends. So that's it. You're definitely meant to live happiness. Okay, anybody else? Otherwise, I'm going to go. Yes, Sue, it is time to do the vision book. Totally time. And I believe you're still in membership for your soul. You might not be. You may want to come back because we are going to do it together. I announced it yesterday on the Abundant Living with Your Guides class. So like we used to do art, drawing your guides and membership for your soul, which people love that. We're going to spend an hour. There's my nose itchy. And we are going to do the book. All right, guys. So I don't see any other questions. If this, come back now because we're doing a lot of exciting stuff. We are, so definitely write in higher on here and go back and watch this video. Share this video if it really helps you. And definitely check it out because check out my YouTube page also, but definitely listen to this meditation, get in touch with your higher self, and you will start seeing changes in your life. So to all my soul stars on here, I love you guys for being part of Soul Stars. And for all of you that are my audience and just working with me and gaining wisdom, go out and live your life. Have a kick-ass life. Life is not meant to be struggle. Dreams in your heart are not meant for you to just struggle. They're meant to be lived. So, and please, 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 I have to say this because it's such a problem for me. I am so tired of the spiritual teachers out there that make you feel like if you do this one friggin' activation, you're going to be cured forever. Life is constantly evolving. Things are constantly happening. What you want to do is get in touch with your higher self, get in touch with that peace inside of you, and be able to meet life so that it doesn't throw you off the path, so that you understand something bigger is happening here that is growing you. And it's doing, a lot of times when something big happens in your life, you look at it as like, oh my goodness, I can't have what I want. And instead, Spirit is asking you to grow. So I'll share briefly about the other night, what happened to me, which I told you already, how I lost my dog, and it was horrible, absolutely horrible. And matter of fact, I went to the path where I lost him again. I was driving around. I called the police. I called the Humane Society. I was telling people in my neighborhood. Nobody offered to help me except the cop. The cop was amazing. And I went on the path and I saw these two elderly women and I said, oh my God, I lost my dog. I mean, I was beside myself because I knew he didn't know where I lived, really. And they were like, have you been hearing the coyotes every night? I hope he doesn't get to the coyotes because if he goes to the, I'm like, I was like, shut up. I didn't say shut up to them, but I was like, I don't want to hear it. So Spirit put everything in my place there to make me fearful. And what I learned from that experience was, so I thought I was surrounded. I have a good block. Everybody talks to each other, but nobody offered to help. The people that helped me were two of my good friends who are healers and Membership for Your Soul. And they helped me. And I found Micah because intuition told me to go back to the woods. My friend Leslie, who's a healer, told me to go back to the woods also. Went back in there, was yelling his name, walking with Venus, who's injured. But I knew if I brought her with me, she would help. And all of a sudden, he'd come bounding out of the leaves. And that moment, I just grabbed him and I went hysterical crying. Hysterical. And I was just thanking God up and down because I love my dogs. I love my cats, even though they make me nuts. I love them. And what did I learn from that? What I learned is I need to create community. I need to start finding my community. I was kind of just sitting back, letting the neighbors come over and stuff, or, talking to them and making promises of getting together. And part of me hasn't wanted to get out into community just yet because I'm settling here. And what I learned was Spirit said to me, no, now it's time to find your community. And it may not be right out your door. You may have to go to that yoga studio. You may have to go to that tennis place. So I learned something from it. I also learned not to take the leash off of Micah right now. That was the biggest lesson. I'm so used to being off leash with them everywhere. Not until they get used to the wildlife. So I did learn that. But that's what I learned. So big things happen. So stop listening to the spiritual teachers that tell you they reach an attainment and that you never struggle, because it's bull. It's bull. It's what you do with the struggle that counts. I'm going to repeat that. It's what you do with the struggle that counts. All right, guys. So I am going to go And thank you so much. I'm not going to be live. Not going to say that just yet. So I will talk to you soon. If you really like this, share this with your friends, and I will talk to you soon. Much love to everyone. Bye.